Hi everyone, welcome today. Thanks for tuning in. So, in the past, we discussed about the investing, inflation, mistakes, where to invest. Now, let's try to understand what is the optimistic future. Now, whichever the stage you are in, future is very optimistic. That's the belief you should already have. Now, just to give you an example, and ask yourself in past 20 years or whichever the age you are in, looking at your parents' lifestyle to where you are today, was there any improvement? Now, if you have a kids now, whatever the circumstances or might be they might be going through, certainly there will be a lot of improvement in the moving ahead. So that is something that you need to ask and see yourself, and also observe the past 20 years trends and see where you have developed, or where as a community developed, and where as a society we developed, and from where we were back in 20 years ago to where we are today. So those that small developments, whatever it could be, gives you a very good hope for the future, that future is better than your present. But at the same time, you need to live your present so that you plan for your present, do whatever the best needs to be done and present, so that your future will be very optimistic and then you know promising. Now let's try to understand why future is optimistic. I think you know why. It's just because the people. It's the people is the most important reason why the future is optimistic. Now let me elaborate you a little bit on the people. Now look around your house. Wherever you're sitting, look around your house. You go to the bathroom, you go to your kitchen, you go to your living room, you go to your bedroom. Now analyze what are the habits you have which was formed past couple of years. So for example, brushing your teeth. That is some good example I wanted to take. Brushing your teeth was taught by your parents at a certain age, they were pushing you to do it, but eventually you got that habit because when you're in a society, obviously, and if you don't brush, probably one being that, you want to stink, and second being that, you want to upkeep in the society with a good and great hygiene so that you grow further. It gives a different impression. Same thing with your shaving. Now what it has to do with the shaving and brushing, see, it doesn't matter how the economy goes, where economy goes, you're going to brush your teeth. Now what it has to do with the uh, generating revenue and futures of optimistic, and what it has to do with it. See, all the small habits what we have, uh, which is inculcated over a period of time. And I'm sure out of 7 billion people, at least 6 billion people are brushing their teeth. Let's say, another 1 billion is kids and so on and so forth. So, whatever the reasons. So, now if you look back, when I connected to that NSE BSE, now whichever the brand you're using to paste, look around and see which company does it. See, the companies might change. Today Colgate, tomorrow Pepsodent, day after Amway, whatever it is. But then the people who is going to use the toothpaste to brush their teeth is going to happen. It's not going to stop just because one company stopped producing the toothpaste because of whatever the reasons. Somebody is going to produce and somebody is going to have. So that's a big market. I'm just saying a simple example. So likewise, you watch your soaps you use, you watch your shampoos you use, you go to your kitchen and see what other products you buy. And the telephones, the telephone is a one-time investment for at least say a year or so. But the service provider who you use, it could be Airtel, Idea, Mobile, Jio, whatever it is. So you're paying for those services because that is something that you need to understand. So this is how the companies are built, based on your people needs, and they develop a products. Maybe you might go to a different, the better service provider than the comparatively, someone who is not giving a proper service. So that's a different story altogether. But ultimately, end of the day, every month you're going to refill your internet. End of the day, every month you're going to refill the mobile phones for talking. End of the day, you're going to buy your toothpaste. End of the day, you're going to buy your shaving foam or Gillette. So these are the businesses if you in a backward work in a different way, you are consuming of all the services. Yes, you're paying for it, but that's where the money is going to. So now, there is a simple examples which I give you, and now there are things that is necessities for the daily life, and there are things that you buy it for. It's driven by the life of the product. It could be your car, it could be your washing machine, it could be your refrigerator, it could be your uh, air conditioning. So that gives you an average about 6, 7, 10 years, depends on how you upkeep. But those are one time. But then again, you consume electricity for all this thing. If you have a car, you consume your daily expenses would be your monthly, yearly maintenance plus the petrol which you normally do. So these are all, everything is related to the company where you're taking the services from. So I hope you got a little bit of glimpse of why. Now imagine, coming back to the people point I'm referring to. Now imagine in a one family of four, if you have take out last 2 3 months grocery bills, all the expenses you had, and then just reflect back the points which I had mentioned. Is there anything that you think that you cannot, because say electricity, end of the day, if you don't pay it, service provider is going to come and cut the electricity bill. You find a way to get a money and then pay it so that you can have electricity. So similarly, you need to identify what are the expenses you are going through at this point of time. And imagine for one family, say if you have so much of expenses. Now we're talking about the family of 104 billion people only in India. Now I'm just giving you a simple example. 40 years ago, Indian population was about 680 millions. Now fast forward 40 years, we are heading for 1.4 billions. Probably we'll touch one of these days, a year or two. Now, the world accounts out of 7.5 billions is 17% of population from India. Now, thinking about yourself as a family member with all the expenses which you do for the services you take from a different people. Now, imagine what would be for this 1.4 billions as we speak. Now, again, it goes to compound. In 40 years, we pretty much, I would say, doubled up. Just 40 years. Now, it's not too far to double up from here because, again, it's a compound effect in all aspects of the life. So, in less than 20 years to 30 years, we pretty much cross roughly about 3 billion people. Now, what other opportunities do you have? What are the services you provide for the people? Now, say, you work, you don't want to work, you work for a certain time, that's the only trade, now, yeah. Now I'm in 40, I don't want to do anything. I tried my businesses, it didn't work out. I tried everything, it didn't work out. I think the only easy way I know is how to work, get money. But imagine, guys, the position what you're getting, as and when the age grows, and then people in the younger generation is coming with more talent, more skills and knowledge than you are doing today, unless until you keep up to the trends. And they're going to eventually take up those jobs. And then pretty much, if you're a 50s and 55s, you're in a private organization, if the company is paying you say 2 lakhs to 3 lakhs, they're going to ask the obvious questions. Basically, again, end of the day, it's a business is driven by the financial numbers. I say, okay, is that position is really valuable? Is that position providing the valuable, or else if the same things that they can do it less than half a salary, and that's how things go. I say, imagine you don't have a job. What do you do? Unless until you have a streamline investing in different businesses, you're quite good enough to not to worry about that. You're in a great shape because that's what investment does to you. Now, fast forward, going back where the investment subject altogether started. Now, these people are your opportunities. The rising population is your opportunity. Now, maybe you cannot think about investing in 100 businesses. So that's where way to invest comes. So unless until you believe that we as a country are not going to move forward, that's a different story altogether. And there is, I mean, you can stop watching these videos right here. But as long as people live, the necessities are there, and you're going to consume the thing. It doesn't matter whether you sorry, it doesn't matter whether you use a credit card, debit card, or you have the cash to buy the things, then you are going to use the services. I'm not getting into even to the real estates where you need to buy your houses, roofs, for the place to live. At some point of time you're going to buy houses. So there's a lot of opportunities for even in a real estate for the people who are growing in the houses or rental. Many opportunities are there. But say you don't want to do all these things, the best way to invest is in the stocks. And that's again, doing all your research. Let's say you cannot do all these things. Then you go to the mutual funds. Mutual funds, either ways you get 1 or 2% of, 1 or 2% of the charges you might go through. But eventually there is certain people who is working on it, and they will make sure that you have a constant returns of at least 10 to 15%, which is always beating again from a previous video. So the standard, the income you can get either fixed deposit or savings bank or recurring deposits or whatever. So mutual funds, and or else you need to diversify the pretty much into a different bucket, so that at least even one fails, one picks up. So at least end of the day, when you look back, say, okay, this didn't work out, and that pretty much worked out, and then an average, okay, I have a returns of 15%. As whatever you invested today, 15% returns you get for another 40 years, you are pretty much set in your life for the basic. It doesn't matter what inflation does to everybody, but then you are set for your life and your family members still. Now, it is always a question, do you really think that we need to plan for 20 years ahead, 40 years ahead? Maybe I will not survive, maybe I will die tomorrow. Now, what if okay, that's a different way of arguing. So, what if you survived for 40 years and then you don't have anything for expenses, looking at this inflation rates, XYZ. So life is unpredictable. It's very, very unpredictable. But the value of investing and thinking of investing is something that a good start at any point of time. Okay, even if you're gone, pretty much those people who are around you can benefit, just because suppose if you have a family of two, education, the kids who is young for education is supposed, so that means at least when you're leaving, if suppose everyone dies, that's pretty much, not everybody lives here for 1,000 years. So whatever the given lifespan, pretty much 70-80 years, if you have a good health care, pretty much 70-80 years is what is life is all about all these days. It depends on, again, every breath you take, every moment you live is it's a blessing from a creator. As long as you do love what you're doing, and you have always a positive approach towards the life. So stop being a negative. Okay, what would happen? No, I don't have. Then what if you make, what if I'm talking at the age of 40, what if I serve another 40 years? So let's say 80 years, if I happen to live, and then say my kids are not sufficient enough to take care of their needs, and then do I really expect my kids to support me? I think that would be a big failure in your life if you have to do that, because you have an entire life just to take care of yourself. You cannot do that. Then that means there's some fundamental things didn't go the way you should have planned. But then unfortunately, you will not have another 40 years in front of you to invest, to see yourself at the age of 120. That's pretty much gone. So whatever the time you have, whichever the age you are in, I sincerely suggest you understand and educate yourself. There are so many channels that you can educate yourself in terms of finances. Fortunately, our education system won't teach you that. There are mistakes that you're bound to make happen, and I made an ample number of mistakes which I didn't come yet, but then I will come to those each and every area where I invested, how much I lost. At the same time, there are 1 or 2 good bets which I took, and how much returns it gave as I speak. So it's a mistakes will make you learn. And then today, if I talk about it, are you financially successful? No, I'm not really. If I was completely successful, probably I wouldn't be working today. But I love what I do, and then mistakes are part of life. So you learn, and then at least I have a systematic a systematic investment plan in place with my experiences which I come up. So I'm very happy with that. And I knew for sure that the time will give me the results. And that is one thing that I learned with all my mistakes, what I learned. So hope that helps you. And so summing up, this future is very optimistic. It's the people who gets you the businesses. So with considering just a family of you, what are the expenses you have, and then imagine 17% of the population. Imagine 1.4 billion people, what we have as we speak, and then what would be another 20 years. So there are ample number of opportunities and a lot of businesses that you could think of investing, which comes in the stock market, where in case if you are experienced enough, or if you study for a couple of years, and eventually you will come to know. But then very simple funda you need to follow is that stay long enough in your investments. As long as you do that, even 1,000 rupees what you invest today will have a lot of returns in 40 years down the line or 20 years down the line. With that note, I would like to leave you. Stay blessed, stay tuned, and watch out for the next video. Thank you. And if you do like these videos, do share with your friends and families to understand how the financial education need to be understood and how it can help others. So with that note, I would like to leave you. Do leave your comments and thoughts, so that and if you have any investment, the mistakes you made and how it could help others, would be an ideal place to discuss and move forward. Thank you. Stay tuned, stay blessed, and thanks for your time once again. And stay tuned.